Have you ever stopped to think about how the journey of aging, something so fundamentally human, can feel remarkably different depending on where you grew up, the traditions you hold dear, or the community that surrounds you now? We all experience the passage of time, the physical changes, the accumulation of memories and wisdom. These are threads common to the human tapestry. Yet, the colors and patterns woven into that tapestry, the way we perceive getting older, the expectations placed upon us, the support systems we rely on, and even how we approach health and well-being. These can vary tremendously based on our cultural background. It's a fascinating and deeply personal aspect of life that touches every single one of us as we navigate our later years. Understanding these cultural considerations isn't just an academic exercise. It's profoundly relevant to our daily lives, our interactions, and our sense of belonging. Perhaps you live in a neighborhood where many languages are spoken, or maybe your own family blends traditions from different parts of the world. Perhaps you've noticed differences in how younger generations view their elders compared to the way things were when you were growing up, influenced by changing cultural norms. Or maybe you've encountered healthcare professionals or caregivers whose understanding of your needs felt slightly off, not through lack of care, but perhaps through a lack of cultural familiarity. These aren't isolated incidents. They reflect the rich, complex interplay between aging and the diverse cultural contexts we inhabit. In many parts of the world, societies are becoming more multicultural than ever before, bringing together a beautiful, sometimes challenging, mosaic of beliefs, practices, and expectations about growing older. This makes appreciating these differences not just helpful, but truly essential for fostering understanding, respect, and better support for everyone. It's completely natural to feel a mix of things when thinking about this. Sometimes, holding on to cultural traditions provides immense comfort, a sense of continuity and identity in a changing world. Singing the old songs, preparing familiar foods, participating in long-held rituals, these can be powerful anchors, connecting us to our roots and to generations past. They remind us of who we are and where we come from, offering a deep sense of security and belonging. You might feel a quiet pride in the specific ways your culture honors elders or defines family responsibility. But navigating cultural differences can also bring challenges. Perhaps you've felt a sense of being caught between two worlds, the traditions you were raised with and the realities of the society you live in now. Maybe there are expectations from your cultural community about how you should live, how your family should support you, or even what health choices you should make. And these expectations sometimes clash with your own desires, your circumstances, or the options available to you. Think about the concept of family support, for instance. In some cultures, it's deeply ingrained that multiple generations live together or very close by, with adult children taking primary responsibility for aging parents. This can provide incredible emotional and practical support, a constant sense of connection. Yet, in other cultural contexts, independence in later life is highly valued, and relying too heavily on children might be seen as burdensome. Neither approach is inherently right or wrong, but imagine the potential for misunderstanding or unmet expectations if individuals from these different backgrounds interact without awareness. A well-meaning offer of help might feel intrusive, or a desire for independence might be misinterpreted as neglect. Similarly, views on seeking medical help can differ. Some cultures place great emphasis on traditional remedies or spiritual healing alongside conventional medicine, while others prioritize a more strictly biomedical approach. A healthcare provider, unaware of these nuances, might inadvertently dismiss beliefs that are deeply important to you, creating a barrier to trust and effective care. Perhaps you've experienced this yourself. a doctor who didn't quite understand why you were hesitant about a certain procedure, or why a family member's opinion weighed so heavily on your decision. These moments, often subtle, highlight the profound impact of our cultural lens on even the most personal aspects of aging. There can also be feelings of isolation if the cultural community you once felt strongly connected to has dispersed, or if younger generations seem less interested in upholding the traditions that mean so much to you. Aging in a place far from where you grew up, perhaps even speaking a different primary language, can add another layer of complexity, sometimes making it harder to access familiar comforts or communicate your needs effectively. It takes courage and resilience to navigate these cultural currents, especially when combined with the other adjustments that often come with aging. Acknowledging these diverse experiences is the first step towards greater understanding and empathy, both for ourselves and for others. It's about recognizing that there isn't one single right way to age. Our cultural backgrounds shape our values, our beliefs about what constitutes a good life, our definitions of family, our ways of coping with challenges, and our hopes for the future. Ignoring this vital dimension means missing a huge part of what makes each person's aging journey unique. Therefore, as we move forward in our conversation today, we'll be gently exploring some of these cultural variations. Our aim isn't to create stereotypes, because, of course, within any culture, there's a vast range of individual beliefs and practices. People are individuals first and foremost. But by looking at some common themes and tendencies across different communities, we can hopefully foster greater sensitivity and awareness. In our next chapter, we will delve deeper into some specific areas where cultural considerations often come into play. We'll look at differing perspectives on family roles and caregiving expectations, how communication styles can vary and impact interactions, especially in healthcare settings, the role of spirituality and faith communities in providing support and meaning, attitudes towards independence versus interdependence, and even diverse approaches to planning for the end of life. We'll share stories and examples, not to label anyone, but to illustrate the richness and variety of human experience when it comes to aging. Think of this chapter as laying the groundwork, acknowledging the importance of culture in the broad tapestry of aging. The goal is to open our minds and hearts, to appreciate the different ways people navigate their later years, shaped by the cultural currents that have flowed through their lives. By understanding these nuances, we can build stronger connections, offer more meaningful support, and perhaps even gain new perspectives on our own aging journey. It's about building bridges of understanding, recognizing that while the seasons of life change for us all, the landscape we experience them in is beautifully diverse. In our last chapter, we gently opened the door to acknowledging how deeply our cultural backgrounds weave themselves into the fabric of our aging experience. We recognize that while the journey through later life has universal elements, the path itself, the scenery along the way, and the companions we journey with, are often shaped by the traditions, values, and beliefs we've carried throughout our lives. Now, let's step through that door together and explore some specific areas where these cultural considerations truly come alive, impacting everything from family dynamics to healthcare decisions. Remember, our goal here isn't to put anyone in a box, as individual experiences always vary, but rather to cultivate a deeper appreciation for the diverse ways people navigate their senior years. One of the most significant areas where culture plays a profound role is in family roles and caregiving expectations. Think about the very definition of family. In some cultural traditions, particularly those often described as more collectivist, the family unit is wide and encompassing, often including multiple generations living under one roof or in very close proximity. There might be deeply ingrained, often unspoken, understandings about who is responsible for caring for aging parents. Perhaps the eldest son, perhaps the daughters, or perhaps it's seen as a shared responsibility among all adult children. This expectation isn't necessarily seen as a burden. Rather, it's often viewed as a matter of honor, duty, and reciprocal love, fulfilling one's role within the family structure that has provided support throughout life. For someone raised in such an environment, the idea of moving an aging parent into an assisted living facility might feel deeply uncomfortable, almost like abandoning a sacred responsibility. The constant presence of family, the shared meals, the daily interactions, these are seen as essential components of well-being in later life. Imagine Mrs. Rossi, who feels immense comfort and security knowing her daughter lives just downstairs, ready to help with groceries, appointments, and companionship. For her, this arrangement is the natural order of things, a continuation of lifelong interdependence. Conversely, in other cultural contexts, particularly those emphasizing individualism, independence, and self-reliance, are highly prized values throughout life, including the later years. While family bonds are still important, there might be a stronger emphasis on maintaining separate households and personal autonomy. Adult children may live further away due to career opportunities or personal choices. In these settings, relying too heavily on one's children for daily care might be perceived, both by the parent and the child, as creating an undue burden. There might be a greater acceptance, even preference, for utilizing professional home care services, senior living communities, or nursing homes. Viewing these as practical solutions that allow both the parent and the children to maintain their independence and relationship dynamics without the direct pressures of intense caregiving. Mr. Johansson, for example, might take pride in having researched and chosen a retirement community that suits his needs, seeing it as a responsible step that ensures his well-being without imposing on his children's busy lives. He might cherish family visits, but value his own space and routine. The challenges arise when these differing expectations meet, either within a family blending cultural backgrounds or when interacting with social services or healthcare systems based on a different cultural model. A child raised to believe in direct family care might feel immense guilt if circumstances like distance or demanding work prevent them from fulfilling that role. An older adult expecting hands-on care from family might feel neglected or abandoned if offered professional services instead. Conversely, a parent who values independence might feel smothered or disrespected by overly attentive children who try to take over decision-making. It's also crucial to remember that these aren't static rules. Generational shifts happen within every culture. Younger generations may adopt different views than their parents, influenced by education, migration, and exposure to other ways of life. Economic realities also play a huge role. The ideal of multi-generational households might be difficult to achieve due to housing costs or the need for multiple family members to work outside the home. Understanding these deeply rooted, yet evolving expectations around family care is vital for navigating relationships and accessing appropriate support respectfully. Another critical area is communication styles, especially in healthcare interactions. How we express ourselves, interpret others, and even show respect can vary significantly across cultures. Some cultures favor direct communication, getting straight to the point, openly expressing opinions or concerns, and feeling comfortable asking direct questions. Others rely more on indirect communication, where meaning is conveyed through subtle cues, context, politeness, and what isn't said, as much as what is. In such contexts, directly challenging a figure of authority like a doctor, or openly expressing disagreement might be considered disrespectful. Nonverbal cues also carry different weights. The significance of eye contact. Direct eye contact can be respectful in some cultures, disrespectful in others. Personal space, gestures, and even silence can vary dramatically. Imagine the potential for misunderstanding in a doctor's office. A doctor accustomed to direct communication might ask a patient, "Do you understand the treatment plan?" and receive a polite nod or a quiet "yes," even if the patient is confused or has reservations. The patient, perhaps from a culture valuing deference to authority, might feel it inappropriate to question the doctor or admit lack of understanding. Later, the patient may not follow the plan, not out of defiance, but because it was never truly clear or accepted. Consider Mr. Tanaka, who listens intently to his doctor but avoids asking clarifying questions, later relying on his daughter to try and interpret the complex medical jargon. Conversely, a healthcare provider might misinterpret a patient's quietness or avoidance of eye contact as disinterest or lack of engagement, when it might actually be a sign of respect. Language barriers, of course, add another significant layer of complexity. Relying on family members, especially children, to interpret can be problematic. They may lack the medical vocabulary, feel uncomfortable relaying sensitive information, or inadvertently filter information based on their own understanding or desires. Using professional, trained medical interpreters is crucial for clear and accurate communication, ensuring you truly understand your health situation and treatment options, and that your providers understand your concerns and preferences. Recognizing these different communication norms helps foster patience and encourages healthcare professionals to use techniques like asking open-ended questions, using plain language, checking for understanding in multiple ways, like asking the patient to explain the plan back, and being attuned to nonverbal cues. It empowers you, as the patient, to gently assert your need for clarity, perhaps saying, "Could you explain that in a simpler way?" Or, "I need a moment to think about this." Tied closely to communication and health are the diverse health beliefs, healing practices, and the role of spirituality. While Western biomedicine is globally influential, it's far from the only system people rely on for health and well-being. Many cultures have rich traditions of folk medicine, herbal remedies, specific dietary practices, and healing rituals passed down through generations. These aren't necessarily seen as replacements for conventional medicine, but are often used alongside it, forming an integrated approach to health. Beliefs about what causes illness can also differ. Some cultures might attribute illness not just to germs or biological factors, but also to imbalances in energy, like qi in traditional Chinese medicine, spiritual factors, or disruptions in social harmony. For many, faith and spirituality provide not only comfort and meaning, but also a framework for understanding suffering and healing. Prayer, meditation, and participation in religious community life can be powerful sources of resilience and coping, especially when facing health challenges in later life. Think about Mrs. Gupta, who finds comfort in Ayurvedic principles, adjusting her diet based on her dosha and using specific herbal preparations alongside the medication her doctor prescribed for high blood pressure. She also finds solace and community support through her local temple. If her doctor were to dismiss these practices without understanding their importance to her, it could damage the trust essential for a good therapeutic relationship. It's important for healthcare providers to ask respectfully about any traditional remedies or practices you might be using, not to judge, but to ensure safety. For instance, potential interactions between herbs and prescribed drugs, and to understand your holistic approach to health. Furthermore, attitudes towards mental health can vary significantly. In some cultures, there may be considerable stigma associated with mental health conditions like depression or anxiety, making it difficult for individuals to seek help or even acknowledge their struggles. They might express emotional distress through physical symptoms instead. Understanding this cultural context is vital for providing sensitive and effective mental health support. Recognizing the legitimacy and importance of diverse health beliefs and the profound role spirituality plays for many seniors allows for more holistic, person-centered care that respects the whole individual, body, mind, and spirit. We also see cultural variations in the balance between independence and interdependence in a broader social context. While we touched on this regarding family care, it extends to overall social life and community connection. Is the ideal senior life one of maximum independence and self-sufficiency, or one deeply embedded in a network of mutual support and social obligation? In some cultures, there's a strong emphasis on staying active and engaged within the community. Frequent informal social interactions are the norm, and solitude might be viewed negatively, equated with loneliness or social failure. Neighbors might drop by unannounced. Community events are central, and there's a sense that everyone looks out for each other. Mrs. Papadopoulos might feel most vibrant when her home is bustling with visitors, participating actively in her church group, and knowing she can call on neighbors for any small need, just as they call on her. In other cultural settings, while community connection is still valued, there might be a greater emphasis on privacy, planned social interactions, and respecting personal boundaries. Independence might mean having the autonomy to choose when and how to socialize, valuing quiet time, and relying more on formal structures for support if needed. Mr. Schmidt might prefer scheduling visits with friends, enjoy his quiet mornings reading, and feel perfectly content with fewer, but perhaps deeper, social engagements. Again, neither approach is superior, but understanding these different orientations is crucial. For someone accustomed to a high degree of interdependence, moving to a more individualistic society, or vice versa, or experiencing changes like children moving away or neighbors changing, can lead to feelings of isolation, or, conversely, feeling overwhelmed. Community centers, cultural clubs, senior centers, and religious organizations often play a vital role in providing culturally appropriate spaces for social connection, helping seniors maintain ties to their heritage and find companionship with others who share similar backgrounds and expectations about social life. Recognizing these preferences helps tailor social programs and support systems more effectively. Finally, let's consider perspectives on end-of-life planning and rituals. Death is a universal human experience, but how we approach it, talk about it, plan for it, and commemorate it is deeply influenced by cultural and spiritual beliefs. In some cultures, death is viewed as a natural part of life's cycle, and discussions about end-of-life wishes, advanced care planning, and funeral arrangements are considered practical and responsible. Individuals might be encouraged to make their preferences known regarding medical interventions, place of death, preferring home, hospice, or hospital, and specific religious or cultural rituals to be observed. Having these conversations openly can bring peace of mind to both the individual and their family. However, in other cultures, discussing death directly, especially with an elder, might be considered taboo, disrespectful, or even believed to hasten the event. There might be a preference to shield the aging individual from difficult prognoses or end-of-life decisions, with the family taking on the responsibility of making choices when the time comes, guided by cultural norms and a desire to protect their loved one. Beliefs about the afterlife, the importance of specific mourning periods, burial or cremation practices, and commemorative rituals vary immensely. Think about the distress caused if culturally significant funeral rites cannot be performed due to lack of awareness or institutional constraints. Consider a family struggling to make urgent medical decisions for an unconscious parent, because end-of-life preferences were never discussed due to cultural reluctance. Sensitivity and respect for these diverse beliefs and practices are paramount, especially for healthcare providers, hospice workers, and funeral directors. Encouraging gentle, culturally appropriate conversations about end-of-life wishes, when possible, and meticulously honoring specific rituals and mourning practices can provide immense comfort and affirm the dignity of the individual and their family during a profoundly difficult time. Exploring these areas, family roles, communication, health beliefs, social connections, and end-of-life perspectives reveals just how profoundly culture shapes the aging experience. It's not about creating rigid categories, but about fostering awareness and sensitivity. Recognizing these diverse threads allows us to interact with each other, with healthcare systems, and within our own families with greater understanding, empathy, and respect. It helps us build bridges, ensuring that support and care are not just offered, but are offered in ways that truly resonate with the individual's values and background. As we move into our final chapter, we'll reflect on what this understanding means for us personally, and how we can use this awareness to empower ourselves and foster more culturally sensitive communities. Over our time together today, we've journeyed through a landscape rich with diversity, exploring the many ways our cultural backgrounds color the experience of aging. We started by acknowledging that while growing older is a universal human process, the path we walk, the values we hold, and the support systems we rely on are deeply intertwined with the cultural heritage we carry within us. We recognize that this interplay isn't just an interesting idea. It profoundly impacts our daily lives, our relationships, and our interactions with the world around us, especially as we navigate our later years in increasingly multicultural societies. In our second chapter, we delved into specific areas where these cultural considerations become particularly tangible. We explored the wide spectrum of family roles and caregiving expectations, seeing how some cultures foster deep interdependence with multi-generational households and clear understandings of familial duty, while others place a higher value on independence and self-reliance in later life. We saw how these differing norms aren't about right or wrong, but about deeply ingrained values that shape expectations around who provides care and how it's received, leading to potential misunderstandings if not approached with sensitivity, especially amidst generational shifts and changing economic realities. We then turned our attention to the nuances of communication styles, particularly in the crucial context of healthcare. We discussed how directness versus indirectness, the interpretation of nonverbal cues like eye contact and silence, and deference to authority figures can all vary significantly. We understood how these differences can inadvertently create barriers to clear understanding between you and your healthcare providers, potentially leading to confusion about treatment plans or unmet needs. The vital importance of overcoming language barriers through professional interpretation and the need for both patients and providers to practice patience and seek clarity became strikingly apparent. Furthermore, we acknowledged the diverse tapestry of health beliefs, healing practices, and the role of spirituality. We recognized that alongside conventional Western medicine, many individuals draw strength, comfort, and healing from traditional remedies, dietary practices, and spiritual beliefs passed down through generations. We saw how faith communities often provide not just spiritual solace, but also vital social support, and how understanding a person's holistic view of health, encompassing body, mind, and spirit, is essential for truly person-centered care. We also touched upon the varying cultural attitudes towards mental health and the importance of destigmatizing seeking help for emotional well-being. We also considered the broader social dynamics of independence versus interdependence. Beyond just family care, we saw how cultural backgrounds influence preferences for social interaction, community involvement, and the very definition of a fulfilling social life in later years. Some thrive in a constant hum of community activity and informal support networks, while others cherish privacy and more structured social engagements. Understanding these preferences helps in creating supportive environments, whether through community centers, cultural clubs, or simply respectful neighborly interactions, ensuring that everyone feels a sense of belonging in a way that resonates with them. Finally, we gently approached the sensitive topic of end-of-life planning and rituals. We saw how cultural and spiritual beliefs profoundly shape attitudes towards discussing death, making advanced care plans, preferences for place of care, and the specific mourning rituals that provide comfort and honor life. We recognize the importance of respecting potential cultural reluctance to discuss these matters directly, while also appreciating the peace of mind that can come from gentle, culturally appropriate conversations about end-of-life wishes, ensuring dignity and adherence to cherished traditions during a difficult time. Reflecting on all these interconnected threads, family, communication, health, social life, end of life, what broader perspective can we gain? Perhaps the most significant takeaway is the simple yet profound realization that there is no single blueprint for aging well. Our cultural backgrounds provide us with unique lenses through which we view the world, define meaning, and navigate life's transitions. Recognizing this diversity isn't just about being polite. It's about embracing a richer, more accurate understanding of the human experience. It challenges us to move beyond assumptions and stereotypes and to approach each person we meet, whether a neighbor, a friend, a family member, or a healthcare provider, with genuine curiosity and respect for their unique background and perspective. This understanding has significant implications, not just for us as individuals, but for our communities and societal structures. As our societies become more diverse, the need for cultural competence in healthcare, social services, and community planning becomes ever more critical. It means training professionals to ask the right questions respectfully, providing access to interpreters, adapting programs to meet diverse needs, and creating welcoming spaces where people feel their cultural identity is seen, valued, and affirmed. It means moving away from a one-size-fits-all approach and embracing flexibility and responsiveness. When systems and services are culturally sensitive, they are simply more effective, leading to better health outcomes, greater trust, and enhanced well-being for everyone. But what does this mean for you, personally, navigating your own aging journey within your unique cultural context? First and foremost, it's an invitation to embrace your own heritage with pride. Your cultural background, with its traditions, values, and perspectives, is an integral part of who you are. It's a source of strength, identity, and resilience. Don't feel pressured to abandon the practices or beliefs that give you comfort and meaning. At the same time, navigating cultural differences often requires adaptability and open communication. You have the right to express your needs and preferences clearly, even if it feels challenging. If you encounter misunderstandings, whether with family members who hold different views or with service providers unfamiliar with your background, try to communicate patiently and assertively. Sometimes, simply explaining why something is important to you can bridge a gap in understanding. Consider bringing a trusted family member, friend, or advocate to appointments if that helps you feel more confident in expressing yourself. You also have the power to seek out and build community in ways that feel authentic to you. If connecting with others who share your cultural background is important, explore local cultural centers, religious organizations, or social clubs. These spaces can offer invaluable companionship, shared understanding, and a sense of belonging. Conversely, if you enjoy learning from and connecting with people from different backgrounds, embrace those opportunities too. Sharing stories and perspectives can enrich everyone involved. Remember, culture is not static. It evolves, and you have agency in deciding how you integrate your heritage with your present circumstances and personal choices. Finding that balance, honoring your roots while adapting to your current reality, is part of the wisdom journey of aging. Ultimately, understanding cultural considerations in aging is an act of empowerment. It empowers you to advocate for your needs and preferences more effectively. It empowers you to understand your own feelings and experiences within a broader context. It empowers you to connect with others, both within and across cultural groups, with greater empathy and insight. It reminds us that while our paths may look different, shaped by the landscapes of our cultures, we are all fellow travelers on the journey of life. There is profound wisdom and strength to be found in honoring both our unique cultural identities and our shared humanity. So, let us carry forward this appreciation for the beautiful diversity that enriches the experience of aging. Let us approach ourselves and others with curiosity, respect, and kindness, recognizing the invisible threads of culture that shape our lives. By fostering this understanding, we not only enhance our own well-being, but also contribute to creating communities that are truly supportive, inclusive, and honoring of every individual's unique journey through their later years. May we all find strength in our roots, wisdom in our experiences, and connection in our shared human story.